The story of Thisbe from Love and Color. And this is Pyramus and Thisbe, who were the lovers that couldn't communicate except through a crack in the wall. And then in this one, Thisbe is sent to a dorm next to Pyramus, and Pyramus is quite the lover, and the noise from next door comes through a crack in the wall and bugs the heck out of Thisbe. So that's the story. Here we go. The music throbbed through the walls of Thisbe's dorm room, permeating the stuffing of the pillow folded over her head. Loud and unrelenting, it filled her room, filled her ears, filled her head. She growled into her mattress. There was a chance that the music could have been described as good, but what does good have to do with any fucking thing when it's 3 a.m. and you have a seminar on the feudal system in less than 6 hours? Not forgetting the fact that she'd have to walk 20 minutes to get there in winter in the north. Surely she couldn't start her collegiate life with homicide. Her parents would be so disappointed. Also, murder had the potential to derail her plans for being the next Michelle Obama. There had been a mix-up in Thisbe's residence application, and instead of the modern all-girls block close to the library she had signed up for, she had been placed in a remote co-ed dorm in an ancient hall with paper-thin walls, and worse, there was a crack in her wall that the superintendent still hadn't fixed. They had said they'd sort it in a week. This was why, though Thisbe hadn't met her clearly dickhead neighbor a month into the term, she knew exactly who he was. Pyramus, she would hear them moan late at night, cushioned among giggles. P, rah, muss, bang, open up, you fuckboy, dickhead motherfucker, she would hear screamed outside of her door at almost any time, really, from highly irate and clearly heartbroken voices. Thisbe would hear the click and creak of his door yawning open, and within minutes, no milliseconds, the growls and curses would turn into mews and sweet concessions, the anger would subside, and the storm would pass, calmed by a low-level voice, reasonable, considered, smoothing away all perceived indiscretions and hiccups. Baby, baby, boo. He was like some kind of bad bitch whisperer. They were all bad bitches, have no doubt. Once one of his visitors banged on her door, and Thisbe had the privilege of seeing Pyramus's type, immaculate, Rihanna light, edgy, tight abs revealed under a cut-up Wu-Tang shirt, an artistically decorated face, cheekbones that cast a shadow, a sleek, cropped haircut that Thisbe lacked the face shape or patience to sport, many ear piercings, tall. The girl had looked down at Thisbe through inky, feathery lashes and raised her eyebrows at Thisbe's global Gaialdum t-shirt, a large conference of young black women who seek to speak truth to power. Headscarf and bleary eyes before smiling sweetly. Oh, wrong room, sorry, because apparently it was inconceivable that Thisbe could have been one of his guests. She banged on the wall between them. 3-fisted pounds against the cracked plaster usually did it. For some reason, this time it took 6. Within a few moments, the music reduced to a decibel that wasn't quite so deafening, followed by the usual my bad, except this time the my bad sounded choked for some reason. The my bad sounded bad. Thisbe thought to say something, but couldn't think of what to say, and besides, he was a stranger, and besides, how could she presume she could detect his moods just because she was used to hearing his insincere apologies through the wall after he had kept her up? And not in the way he usually kept girls up either. This was far from pleasurable. Not that she personally would have liked to have been kept by him in that way, although she did take a sneak peek at his Insta Twitter book or whatever just by the by, because he'd come up on the side as a suggested friend, no thank you. And he was handsome, if you like that sort of thing. That sort of thing being a sloping, wicked-looking smile and the build of someone who only had to go to the gym twice a year to build physique. Smooth, buttery cinnamon skin like he was poured into form, his short black curls looked well acquainted with shea butter, like they had coffee together once or twice a week. fulsome lips somehow looking like they were sculpted with a chisel and stuffed with angel wing down. However, Thisbe was an evolved woman, and therefore that sort of thing did not move her. She was attracted to men only when they met her on a certain holistic, spiritual, multi-dimensional level, and even then. She heard 4 loud bangs on her door. Thisbe swore under her breath, and then promptly became short of it. In a well-rehearsed minute, she leaped out of bed, slammed the light on, threw her headscarf off the Senegalese twist piled high on her head, switched her t-shirt to a tank top, dabbed some lip balm with soft sheen on her lips, gargled some mouthwash, and spat it out of her window. She opened her door and smiled at the person on the other side. "Hey, Kazim." Okay, Pyramus. Kazim was a prick. Pyramus had it on good authority that Kazim was fucking Kyla Reynolds 2 floors down. Kyla Reynolds had grown up in Suffolk, wore Barber jackets, and once when Pyramus had put on his Netflix and chill playlist, she had asked why his taste had to be so typical, just as Usher's Can You Handle It started playing. She proceeded to ask if he could switch to something more interesting, such as Mumford & Sons, which sounded like the name of an artisanal butcher in Kensington, but that was beside the point. Kazim was a dog, and now he had taken to drunkenly stumbling into Pyramus's neighbor's room. What was her name? Phoebe? No, it was Thisbe. On one of the few times he'd seen her, he'd noticed that she was wearing a gold chain with a T on it. It was late, and she was rushing somewhere holding books, and he was ambling somewhere holding booze. So anyway, he'd noticed Kazim had decided to start stumbling into Thisbe's room on indiscriminate days of the week. Everybody thought Kazim Kamayas was a good guy because he wore these bullshit glasses and studied medicine and owned a weird amount of knitwear for somebody who wasn't a 36-year-old lit professor. But really, he was a dick, and the worst kind because he was a dishonest dick. Pyramus knew he was also a dick, but at least he was a truthful one. He never played girls. They knew what it was and what he was incapable of. It was boring, really, a mother who died during his formative adolescent years and a father who thought grieving should be a private stoic process, which in the end made him seek controlled affection and attention, not too much. He wouldn't know how to handle it. While he held women in deep reverence and respect and truly, on God, thought they were the superior sex, he was unable to form a lasting attachment to them because loss. It was textbook, and he knew this because he took a psych module, and there was literally a chapter on his abandonment issues. He had highlighted it, and the girl next to him had noticed and asked him about it. They had 2 great weekends together. She said he had great hands, soft but sturdy. Women came to him for a good time, and he did his utmost to deliver. It was a mutually beneficial agreement, and any misunderstandings occurred only because, well, let's be real, sometimes women like to look beneath and behind words to try to find something that they would actually like to hear. He didn't blame them, and he got it, but it did tend to complicate something that should have remained uncomplicated still. He actually liked women. Kazim, on the other hand, was the kind of asshole who secretly hated them. While he pretended to be this woke god, he went to the Black Feminist Book Club and tweeted black women over and over again, nothing else, just black women. That was enough to cement his status as the good guy. He was going to be a doctor after all, so why go through all the stress of trying not to be an asshole? It didn't matter how evolved they were. Girls always harbored a primitive desire to date a doctor. Anyway, Pyramus knew that his neighbor Thisbe had a 9 a.m. lecture in the morning because he always woke up to the sound of her listening to some kind of women's empowering mantra every Tuesday. You are a queen. You are Lord Angelou, Simone, Walker, Hooks, Davis, Morrison, Knowles, Fenty, Robinson, Obama. You will shake the world. You will move the earth. You will be audacious with your essence. You will take up all the space. You will not stay in your lane. You will build new roads. Pyramus felt like a bad bitch by proxy now, a powerful, independent woman who don't take no shit. He even found himself snapping on one of his boys, called one of his tings female. He felt empowered by Thisbe's lectures, his worldview shifting, but the main point was, if he knew that Thisbe had an early morning lecture the next day, he hadn't thought about that his music would wake her, and he felt bad about that. He swore it was at a respectable decibel. Then, why didn't Kazim? Pyramus didn't know Thisbe, but he knew that she deserved better than Kazim. Pyramus put his headphones on, stuck on his own DJ mix, and flopped back in bed. He preferred the music to fill up his room, surround him, and envelop him, but this would do. He had only put it down to drown out yet another argument he had with his father over fuck knows what, maybe everything. Through his headphones, Pyramus heard Kazim drunkenly stumbling around the room. Kazim was a dick.